All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our Sunday question and answer video. We are here. We're not on the road today.
No.
We're at...
we did drive to get here.
Yeah, we did drive to get here. We just didn't film that. We're at our listing here at 50 Thomas Riley, Unit 2409.
It's a corner unit.
Unit, beautiful view.
It's a beautiful view.
And it's just, it's underneath the penthouse. So there's no roof on top of the balcony, when
wide
you get
open, lots of sun,
wide open,
lots of sunlight.
Beautiful unit. So yes, if you want more information on that, you can check it out. Put the link in the description and you'll see it at the end of the video too. But
the bedroom and the balcony, just one more thing about the unit. You could see downtown, CN Tower, the lake. Beautiful.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so let's get to the first comment here. So this...
Okay, let's go.
This comment comes from Rachel H5641. Okay,
we're going to talk about the Leafs a little bit.
I know we'll get to that. I'm sure there's a question in here about that. But Rachel says, the music drama has become my favorite part of this channel. My husband and I used to refer to your channel as the no guy, all because of that song. It was iconic.
The no. I want to be the yes guy.
But the new music made us start using your real name. I think people might not like it because it's just a bit outdated. That dubstep style music was very popular back in the 2010s. Not so much now, which I don't think speaks as well for your brand, but it's a really very small thing. So, yes, I picked the music. You know what? Our channel is fighting a few different battles here, actually. So the music is obviously a big topic of debate here on this channel. So it's also a massive...
I don't know what to say about
what's also a massive topic of debate is there are people that are pushing very hard for everyone to call you Santos.
I know. And they're saying it's not my name.
I think if I remember correctly, his username is something along the lines of 1AG1 or something like that. But every single video,
I read a comment. Somebody was like, "Give me an S, give me an A," and I'm reading like, "Give me an M," and I'm like, I know where this is going.
That's the second battle we're fighting on this channel. Yeah. The third battle actually is the battle we fight every year for 2 weeks, which is our Leaf battle. But yes.
Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go. We're wearing the jersey. So this is filmed just before the playoff game on Saturday. So we don't know the outcome of the night's game, but
this is being filmed just before game 4. Yeah. We're going to make a prediction?
It's a sweep. Get the broom, Dad. Go to the closet, get the broom. I hope we're right.
4. We need the rest. So let's do it in 4 and let the boys rest.
Okay. So let's get to another comment here from Mr. Ed1.
This is a real estate channel. I forgot.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Ed1 says, this is with regards to our video where we talked about basically if you're closing and someone replaces the fridge with something of a lesser quality that was there, right?
Okay.
Or different things like that, like damages to the unit, stuff like that. Yep. So Mr. Ed says, why doesn't the buyer's agent make this a condition in the offer to purchase?
Make what a condition?
Well, that doesn't get replaced, or that the room or the property is left without problems or without issues. If water heater breaks, stuff like that.
Can't be a condition, because a condition would imply that it's not firm until closing date. So it's not a condition, but it would be a clause. And you've got chattels that are included. And in the chattels, you list fridge, stove, dishwasher, stainless steel fridge, stainless steel stove, built-in dishwasher, fridge in the basement. It's all listed. And that's what you're paying. It's part of the purchase price. And so it is in the agreement.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is a seller doing something that they shouldn't do that is not part of the agreement.
Well, not that it's not part of the agreement. They're going against what's in the agreement.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point. What's
not in the agreement is that they're allowed to to change out the fridge.
And that was the whole point of the video. The point of it was that these things actually are in the agreements, but the sellers are taking advantage of the fact that to enforce it is actually much more work than what it might be worth to actually do. Right. And so that was the point of this video. Like that stuff is usually in the agreements, that it has to be in working condition, that, you know, if you see a brand new stainless steel fridge when you go do the showing and then you get there and it's, you know, a 30-year-old white fridge, you know, the white fridge might probably be better quality than the stainless steel. But I mean,
the new one will never get to 30 years.
You want what you saw, right? And yeah, so this stuff is in the agreement. It's supposed to go down that way. But again, some sellers take advantage of the fact that in order to enforce that, it's just a little more difficult to do, right?
The other point of that video was that buyers will see this and go, "Oh, I'm not closing until," and then the buyer's lawyer says, "Actually, you have to close.
You have no choice.
You can't not close because the fridge is missing or the dryer's missing.
Yeah.
You can't not close because of those reasons."
Yeah. So, okay. So next comment here comes from Gertrude12345. And this is with regards to our video where we were discussing the short irrevocable that the buyers wanted to give. And then, that situation popped up. But Gertrude says, "That's ridiculous. Why so little time? What's the point of putting so much pressure on the seller? Who wants to deal with dumb people like that playing games?"
It's a fair comment, Gertrude, but I've deployed that strategy before myself. It really depends on the circumstances. For example, if it's a popular listing and you as a buyer are under the impression that there's lots of showings and you have a good price as the buyer, you're making an offer that you know is a really good price. The longer the seller has to think about it when you hand in the offer to the seller, the more time the listing agent has to shop it around to see if any of the other buyers that have gone to see the home can pay more. So if you have a good offer as a buyer, sometimes a short irrevocable, here, I'm giving you 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. We need an answer now. Yes, it puts pressure on the seller, but if it's a good offer, the buyer, it could be a strategy that works well for the buyer. And if the seller's getting a good price, hey, make a decision. But sometimes buyers don't necessarily do this properly. It's a terrible offer that they put in and they give a short. It's like, what are you doing with this offer? It's like, I don't care if it expires, the seller's attitude is. So under certain circumstances, a short irrevocable could be the right strategy. But you do risk the seller looking at that and saying, I don't want to be pressured.
Yeah. And also, I think now with the amount of inventory that's available and that's coming out every day, it's also important to not necessarily be tied up to one property for so long, right?
I agree. If you know your numbers, if ahead of time, you as a seller know your numbers, but also you as a buyer know your numbers, why does somebody need that long of a time to make a decision?
Yeah.
I've also used the strategy when I've represented a buyer to give them a long irrevocable, where I know the offer I'm putting in is not going to be well received.
Yeah.
But it's on a property that's been sitting on the market for a while. And I will give them, I'll take your time.
Sleep on this for 3 days.
sleep on this. Think about it. And, at first they're all upset, the sellers, but, these are strategies that I've learned from experience over time. And because I work with sellers and buyers, we have a pretty good handle on the dynamics of what both sides think about.
Okay. So next comment is actually related to this one. And it comes from Deezed150.
Deezed.
And they say, I'm curious to how this story ends. Did your seller end up selling with more or less money after this expired offer went cold and eventually the home sold?
They sold for a little bit less, but it was not a material difference. It was a little bit less, but didn't really matter. It wasn't much.
Okay. So next comment here comes from Gabriel and a bunch of letters and numbers. And so this is a comment I picked out because it's clearly someone that didn't watch the video. But Gabriel says,
you can tell.
So
Okay.
the title of the video was something along the lines of the condo situation. This condo situation is out of control, or is getting out of control, or could get, I forget exactly. But Gabriel says, why out of control? It's correcting as expected in any market. You are a FOMO pusher.
I am a FOMO pusher. Isn't there a song about that?
I don't think so. You say that comment so often.
Song about everything.
There's not.
We have an app for that.
I don't think there's a song.
I am a FOMO. Maybe we should develop like an app.
Go on.
As a FOMO, we push FOMO.
Yeah,
we get an app. Everybody download this,
press it in our videos,
and it puts pressure. And it puts pressure on you to buy.
No,
I don't even know where to comment on this. The last, do I defend myself? I'm not a FOMO pusher.
So they say out of control, but we're talking about the condo market.
Oh, you're focused on that. I'm focused on him calling me a FOMO person.
Yeah, I don't care about that part, but out of control, the out of control part, and when we talk about the condo market and the conversations that we're having with people that, for the most part, are looking to sell, if you ask them, the condo market is very much out of control right now. Right?
It absolutely is.
It's very much out of control, and but this particular video that you commented this on, it was not the same context that you're talking about. This video was about where basically people are deciding kind of under pressure that, I can't sell it, so let me just rent it.
Yeah.
And then you have a whole host of other issues that could potentially come up with renting that could put you in a much worse situation. That was the situation we were talking about. And so I think that that situation could easily get out of control. And
watch the video, man. Don't just go with the headline.
I know.
Those headlines are to suck you in.
Yeah, exactly. Watch the video before you comment. But anyways, next comment here comes from Off Beige. And Off Beige says, does a seller have to release that a unit was renoed if the buyer doesn't ask? So say a buyer gets a condo and didn't ask if there were renos done, and say there were no approvals, a Toronto landlord special. Who is responsible if the condo board says they need to be taken back to the original state, for example?
Okay, so this is a two-part question.
Yeah.
So a seller does not need to state renos were done.
Mm-hmm.
Usually,
it'd be pretty bad renos if you couldn't see that renos were done.
Right. Usually as a buyer, you can see, especially if you've seen other units in the building, you're able to see right away that, they've made some changes. But usually if rentals have been done, the seller's bragging about the rentals because they're looking for a premium on the sale price versus the other units in the building that have had no rentals. Mm-hmm. But it's not obliged. Sellers will state rentals are done because of price. They want more money.
Yeah.
And it's a marketing ploy to say, hey, look, we did rentals, The other part, who's responsible? Whoever is living or whoever owns, not is living, whoever owns the unit at the time the infraction is discovered is responsible. So if the condo board says, hey, you moved your kitchen to the other side of the unit, you can't do that, put it back. You can't do that with the piping, put it back. Hey, that wall you took down, put it back. Whoever owns the unit is the one that needs to correct the problem. Now, there could be, depending on how the agreement was written, the agreement of purchase and sale, some recourse that current owner could turn around and sue the previous seller. Mm-hmm. But it all depends if there's provision for that in the agreement of purchase and sale. But who's initially responsible is the current owner of the unit. And it's not just the condo board. There could be building code infractions that you may also have to deal with.
Yeah.
But whoever currently owns the unit is the responsible party.
Yeah. So and next question here comes from Miss Mew. And Miss Mew asks, what type of reno should we be on the lookout for? So to avoid the issue that we talked about, what type of reno should we be on the lookout for?
So I don't mean to laugh, but shoddy,
I guess.
Bad renos, and are we talking condos still?
Yeah,
but actually, even houses, when walls start to disappear, one thing that quickly comes to my mind is this allowed? Is there the proper support system? Did the wall they remove, was that a load-bearing wall or was it, just no problem removing it? If it was a load-bearing wall, did they put the right support system in, the right beam? Was it done according to permit? Because then, if it's done to permit, it's past certain codes.
But I think in this case, it would be really any type of rentals, not just shoddy rentals. Like obviously shoddy rentals, you're going to want to dig into that further. But I think with any type of rentals, right? If someone does a massive where, this kitchen, you guys can't see the kitchen from there, but this kitchen here, if it gets shifted over to here, it's done really, really well, right? There's still a chance that they're going to say, hey, you can't shift the kitchen, right? So I think it's with any type of renos, any type of big renos. If someone added a closet organizer, a really nice closet organizer, you're probably not going to get in trouble for a closet organizer, right? But any type of big renos that look like something substantial has been done, that's something you want to look out for. And it's a good point with the houses too, because I remember.
Well, it's different though. What you just said, in a condo, moving a kitchen from one side to the other, it's like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
You didn't go to your neighbor underneath and say, hey, we're going to move some pipes in your ceiling across. You're not doing that. But in a house, it's a lot easier to do that. It's your house. Maybe the basement's unfinished. So moving pipes across, and that's much simpler and easier. You can do much more in a house than you can in a condo.
And I think that brings us to one of our OG stories that we told. Do you remember? It was, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago.
Is it the one where the ceiling was buckling?
Yeah.
You're looking at the ceiling. Was this like a reverse dome?
I don't think it's supposed to be like that.
I can't touch it here. A few more steps. Oh, I can touch the ceiling now.
You remember? We were there. So it was a showing we were doing with one of our clients. We went into this house and we're all standing. We're all standing underneath. And then, I think this might have been a support wall that got removed. And we all just...
None of us wanted to go to the second... I can't even finish my sentence. None of us wanted to walk to the second floor.
I think we saw enough of that house.
And I called the listing agent and said, hey, what's with the wall? It's like, with the ceiling. He's like, what do you mean? I go, the ceiling, it's like buckling. And he's like, what are you talking about? He didn't even notice. Like, what are you talking about? You don't know.
Oh, that was so funny.
It's unbelievable. The listing agent, totally just oblivious.
Yeah. So next question here comes from Cassius John Adams. And he said, Santo, period.
Thank you.
Leafs, period. Is this the year?
Yes.
Yes. If you're wanting
I didn't have to think about that.
I'm going to double down. We've already swept the Ottawa Senators. And we're coming for Tampa or Florida, whoever gets out of that one. Yes, this is the year. So, okay. Next comment here comes from Rain Boone 96. And they say, love the Sunday Driving with Realtors show.
We just ruined it for him.
Dang it. Yeah.
Him or her.
Hope you still like this one. Very entertaining and informative. Also, wondering, are you folks usually going somewhere or just driving around the block to record? We're usually, okay, so.
That's when my wife, your mother, kicks us out of the house.
So for us, these usually get recorded Saturday morning. And Saturday morning, for real estate is prime time. Like
Look,
that's our evenings and weekends.
Our clients want to spend time with us when they're not working, which is evenings and weekends.
So usually the driving show is on the way to and from showings. This one, we had to be here for a showing that we were doing at the property, but we decided, we'll film it here. But usually there's something going on for, that's actually why we did the driving show. We were doing them in the studio, but it's just a lot of time in the studio, especially when we got a lot of running around to do.
Time is at a premium. Yeah. And if we have a half hour, 45-minute drive ahead of us.
Yeah. We take advantage of that.
Getting anywhere these days is half an hour, 45 minutes.
That's true.
Why not do it while we're driving?
Yeah. Okay. So next comment here comes from Parth Patel 28. Parth Patel. And he's been
an old timer on our channel.
Yes. So thanks for your support, Parth. We always appreciate your comments. But Parth says, why people in real estate are looking to cheat one another? Just show the proof, or if it's not approved, then tell the truth. Not telling the truth is cheating. And that's with regards to the condo.
Parth, you're 100% right. To omit is to deceit. Not stating something can be cheating. Depends on what it is. But yeah. Why not tell the truth?
Yeah. Okay, so next comment here comes from 1AG18, and I picked the one comment that this person has left that has not said Santos, but because they're the ones that are really pushing the Santos narrative. But
what's their real name?
1AG1. I don't know.
See, you're hiding. Hiding.
They say, I'm not sure knowing how much sell over list price, because many sellers are relisting at lower prices. So is this metric even relevant? But more importantly, is it misleading?
There's no perfect metric that gives you everything you want to know. You are totally correct when, for example, a property would be listed at 1.5 million. It could sit there for years at 1.5 million. I'm exaggerating for effect. And then they relist at 1.3 million. And in 2 days, it sells for 1,305. So it sells for 5,000 over asking in 2 days. But it's been on the market for months and months prior. There's a few metrics there that are going to throw things off. One is sold over list price. It's a fact. It's sold over list price. So it's going to appear in that percentage category. Plus, the 2 days on the market is also going to skew days on market for calculations of how long it's taken properties to sell. But what can we do? It is still relevant if we look at it from the perspective of, if you have it at the right price or low enough, buyers will understand and appreciate what's a good price and maybe prepared to pay a little more or prepared to compete to get it. That's why I use the metric, but it's not foolproof.
Yeah. And I think, when we were coming up with all the ways we were trying to present data for, there's not one perfect one, but this shows you kind of like the strategy of pricing it low. Obviously, you price a house for $1, it's going to sell for more, right? It's just, you're manipulating the numbers. But there are far more properties, especially in the certain regions, like, Durham, the Ajax, Pickering, Whitby, the Scarborough area. Like a ton of these houses, majority of these houses are coming out with offer dates, right? And so, if these were all selling on offer night, you'd be seeing, 80, 90% of them sell at list price or more.
Correct.
But what we're seeing is a lot of these that are coming out on off with an offer night are not successful. And then they go back to the traditional price of, whatever they actually want, and they negotiate down. And so, this is a metric to show you kind of, okay, how many people are still competing for properties, right? Because there are a lot of areas that are 20%, which is, 1 in 5 houses is selling at list price or more, which means, activity there is just low, right?
Right.
And so
I would look at that percentage of selling at list price or more, and also look at the months of inventory and compare. If months of inventory are really low, you could read certain things into that percentage selling at list price or more. And if months of inventory are really high, but there's a decent percentage selling a list price or more, well, you could read something else into that it's just people are pricing low because they need to be sold.
Yeah, exactly. And so next question comes from Igor Heriton. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And Igor says, price is still not dropping. Why?
Igor, we've dealt with this several times. I'm not sure with what condos. Is he talking about condos, homes?
I think this was actually on a home video or one of the detached videos.
One of the detached videos. Okay. If you're a seller and you're selling your home, and mentally you have an idea because you've seen other sales in your neighborhood, they could have been a while back, you're going to have a mental block in your head as far as dropping your price goes. And we're seeing a lot of sellers holding out. What's encouraging to some of them is every now and then another one may sell close to their price. And because the buyer really wants that property, but prices are not drastically dropping. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is just sellers holding out and buyers they are buying.
Yeah.
Even though sales are lower than ever before, they're buying.
And it's funny. We saw that we have a buyer that's looking for a specific unit in, I think there's only 3 buildings that they want to be in. And we saw for this particular style of unit that they were looking for, and this is for condos, but we saw for this particular style of unit they were looking for, it's taken, I think it's 4.5 months for the units that he likes, that he's waiting for prices to come down. It's taken 4.5 months for those to for one of them to finally get to a lower price. And just after that, the other ones kind of followed. So, it takes a long time for people to decide, how much of a loss they're going to make. And that's particularly in condos, but so it's not instant, right?
We 3 days ago, put an offer on a property. The offer was a fair offer. This home needed a lot of work, which my clients are prepared to do. And in putting in the offer, the counter offer came back nowhere near our price. They came back just slightly lower than what they're listed at. They've already been on the market for a while.
Yeah.
And so I'm speaking with the listing agent saying, listen, we're far apart here. Is there no real room to negotiate on your side? And he said, well, you gave an offer based on what? I go, based on the market and based on your property sitting there and based on what sold. The last time something sold in that neighborhood was a year ago. And he said, well, if you base it on what sold a year ago, then your number needs to come up. Like our side needs to pay more. I go, but do you realize everything's different this year?
Yeah.
Like there's far more other properties on the market. Like it's a different market, yet the seller on that side is prepared to sit and wait for now. And
the proof is in them sitting for as long as they have been for that particular
they're sitting.
house.
And he says, no, the value's not there. And I go, the fact that the property is still sitting for sale kind of speaks to the value. And they hadn't had any offers yet. We were the first offer yet. They're not budging. And thankfully, my client, the buyer, doesn't have the pressure that, they got to have this house. Yeah. We're looking elsewhere now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so next and last comment comes from Muffy205. Muffy205. And they say,
strong.
Hi, Sessa. I like your consistency to bring us these weekly videos. You and your team are doing a great job.
Thank you, Muffy.
Thank you, Muffy.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone that comments on these videos. Thank you for everyone that watches these videos. we have such a fun time recording this Sunday.
Absolutely, we do.
And so leave your comments in this video, leave them in the videos throughout the week. We'll pick them, and hopefully you can make it onto next week's show if we do a show next week. And
why wouldn't we?
I don't know. Sometimes we just skip them randomly.
Oh, because we're following the Leafs
we're too busy
to their next.
If the Leafs,
we might go on the road to a Leaf game.
If the Leafs sweep the Ottawa Senators this series, we're going to be planning the parade. So we'll
like
be
it's the Stanley Cup.
A little too busy to do this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, leave your comments below, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great day. Thank you.